Okay. So thanks so much for the organizers for putting this together. Thanks for being here on Saturday afternoon. My name is Min, and I'm the co-founder of PlayMoolah. We design great experiences for kids to learn about money. And I just want to give a bit of background on what the lens is that I'm taking to this. So my official title in the company is I'm the Princess of Possibility, and I'm the co-founder, and I make things happen. And my lens, I'm not a game designer, just to say it outright. My background is more in finance, and I'll share with you a little bit of my story on what sparked this idea. When I was in secondary school, when I was 14, my peer support leader actually committed suicide. I was in one of the best girls' school, just beautiful, beautiful life, and at that point in time, I learned that success in education does not equate to success in life. And that was the point that I decided, let's put education in its place and let's design my own curriculum for education. And I just did a whole bunch of internships in the medical industry, in F&B, in banks, and I just realized how a lot of successful people out there just don't even know how to manage their money. So I was in Stanford University in 2008. That was a time when Lehman Brothers went down. Big shock across the world. And at that time, it was just a personal curiosity of this question: what is the root cause of financial illiteracy in the world today? This big question drove us into a process of discovery. We were looking at all the research that was out there, and we realized that this field isn't new at all. This field has been around for 30 years. And what was scary was that children are actually knowing less and less about personal finance. Products are getting more and more complicated. And I say this in the context of the United States. The second thing that was even more surprising was that Louis Mandel, who was studying this field for 30 years, found that if you compare the highest scoring student on a test and the lowest scoring student, one might know more, but there's actually no difference in their financial literacy behavior. So they were actually not saving more or taking more precautions or planning longer term. So what we realized was that financial literacy wasn't so much a knowledge problem, it was more behavioral. It was more, can I nurture the habits and behaviors from young? Can I delay my gratification? And then now we're looking at how families are in trouble. And we went into, I volunteered in American schools. We went into homes of American families. And this sums up what we found. Let me see if I can.
Looks like rain again today. Dark clouds gather and fill the sky. Don't know how to talk to you, just know how to say goodbye.
Have you actually got a driver's license? I don't think so. Did you see it back there?
Go back where you came from. Learn to speak.
Go back where you came from. What's wrong with you, Harry?
Get over here. You don't want to speak. I've had enough of you. I've had enough of you.
So this was our answer to what was wrong. And we decided, and we looked around, we saw that there was no intervention for parents and kids to work on money management behavior at home. And if the problem started at home, why isn't there a solution at home? And so we thought, we need to start right, we need to start young, we need to start with families. And this was the beginning of PlayMoolah. We thought, could we combine the opportunity that we see? Kids are all so digitally engaged. They are all on things like Club Penguin, which teaches high consumerism. Could we combine them with great personal finance software like Mint.com? Just by visualizing the data, I actually take a different action. So the first prototype we built was a fun visualization tool for kids. Kids could engage, it could be immersive, and we built a parent's dashboard for them to actually see what the kids were doing at home. Parents could see what the kids were doing, monitor, get involved, match the kids' goals. And what we were trying to do was to bridge interaction and education to spark the money conversations at home. But what we did under the surface was to actually collect a lot of real data of what kids were thinking, what kids were doing, and to put it through our algorithms and tell the parents what recommendations they could do. So this resulted in pretty good behavior results. It got published in a thesis publication by my co-founder, and she just presented on Monday, so I won't go through that. But we found that players were able to articulate and actually remember the lessons and take action from them, even weeks after the intervention. So we have come a long way. This is what we have right now. We have a full-fledged, fun online platform for kids to discover what they can do with money. Kids can learn to earn, spend, save, invest, and give with real money as well. Parents can get involved, can track their kids' savings, and we hope to develop a positive relationship with money, because we all know that money is emotional, money is fearful, money is irrational, and we hope to start young and actually make it empowering and positive for them. So a little bit of a preview of what we do. So this is PlayMoolah for kids, and at the center of PlayMoolah is a planet for kids' dreams. These are some games on a virtual level for kids to actually earn money, and we teach them earning money about creating value in the world. How can you combine your skills, your resources to help the little minis in the world? This is typically what PlayMoolah is. What you saw as the prototype has evolved into something much more gamified. It's a goal machine where kids can set up a little goal plan. And I'll tell you a story about how that translated into behavior later on. But this is a visualization for kids and real goals. We have a place for kids to spend and to teach wise spending. So we have some shops that present you all the wants in the world. You can decorate your planet, you can do all that stuff. There are some shops that are selling what the planet needs. There's water, there's stuff that your job needs. So kids need to make that decision. We also have Invest, where kids put their money into simulated products, like a wallet, like a time deposit, and like a Moody investment account, which represents the stock market. And also for kids to give their real allowance to charities that we partner with. And kids not only give their money, they can give their time to volunteer, and they can give their talents. So a little bit of reflection there. So this is the PlayMoolah Pentagon. This comes up a lot of times when kids earn money, and we want to reinforce many times that every time you have $1 coming in, there are 5 things you can do with your money. That makes it very simple. And right now, we are experimenting with personalizing the experience for each kid, and around what you do with your money. To be honest, who says you have to save 20%? There's no, doing this for 2 years, we realized there's no standard curriculum for what a financially literate person should be. But what really determines how good you are with managing your money is that you actually live your goals, you actually live your dreams. You use money in a way that's valuable to your family, to society, and what you want in life. So we have centered and anchored the entire curriculum around the kid and who he wants to be and what he wants to be. And the first thing a kid goes into is to actually fill up his wish list. What are your dreams? And what we found in Singapore is that about 20% of kids automatically write things like that. I want to have more money, I want to be the richest person in the world. And we see this as actually key hooks and key known behavior that we can then turn around. Okay, let's see how you can reach your goal. So we also have a accompanying dashboard for parents where they can view their child's learning. They can give an allowance tied to chores or tied to any task they want. They can match the kids' goals and see how they're doing. And they can get recommendations on family projects or a trip to the supermarket. What can you do with your kid? So I'll tell you a little story about one of our users who successfully learned the value of money, which is this fluffy concept that's so hard to define. So Junwei, he was 10 years old and he really wanted a PlayStation. So being in Singapore, he said, "Mom, I want a PlayStation." His mom said, "No, you can't have it." And using PlayMoolah, he said, "Okay, why don't I set up for it myself?" So he went into PlayMoolah's goal machine, and the first thing we do is actually have references of what other kids around the world are saving for. and why they're saving for it. So he went in. We have a screen that takes him through the process of goal setting. He typed in he wanted a PlayStation. We asked him why he wants it. We actually linked to Amazon, so we pull out all the data of how much it costs, what it looks like, the kid can visualize it, and then we break it down into small little goals. So he can play around by saving $1 a day, how much is it? $2 a day, how much is it? And it's so funny because yesterday we had a kid who wanted a 3-story bungalow in Singapore. So he typed in about $2 million and we didn't have enough space for him there. And he realized that in 100 years he still wouldn't save up for it. And it's a big trigger there. So what happened in here, I don't have the other slides, but what he did was he used PlayMoolah's goal machine then to save up every single day. And he even set aside a transparent Tupperware so he could see his money growing. And at 70%, PlayMoolah triggered him saying, do you still want the goal? Do you still want this item? And he thought about it. He said, you know what? I don't think it's worth it anymore. It was so hard to save for this. I realized the value of money, and he put the money into his bank instead. And so Junwei actually realized the same thing his mother told him, not just because she told him he would never learn that way, but because he actually went through the process and felt the trade-offs and felt delayed gratification. These are the lessons that we hope to imbue the kid for life. So I'll go a little bit on what goes behind the scenes to develop something like that. This is the team that was behind this. We have a team of artists, animators, sound engineers, developers, software engineers, and we work with experts in the field, a lot in research, a lot in savings, behavioral research, and a lot in game design. And what we do is to come up with a methodology to marry the experts together, because I'm no game designer, and a lot of people know better. And this is how we see ourselves as the PlayMoolah designer. This is the broccoli in the middle is what we all want for kids, the good stuff. And around it, we basically create the cupcake. So when you give the kid the cupcake, he eats the broccoli. It's great for him, but we actually don't intentionally tell him so. We realized along the way how just difficult this process is to design to inspire behavior, that we realized that in the first case of the prototype we built, we actually faced a lot of learning. And the biggest learning was that out of the whole population, there was only about 5% of parents who were really engaged in our platform. And we got all the tiger moms, very intense parents, the charter school moms. They really loved the platform. But for the 95%, the parents just didn't engage. What we also found was that it was very difficult to track behavior results. How do you measure that? And it changed our design philosophy midway in our attempt called Operation Cupcake. We decided to focus all our energy on the cupcake and no longer on the broccoli. And what we did was to get in game designers in the company, get the expertise up, and change the whole design such that we were focused on driving the kids and engagement to learn for themselves, and then use the power of the NAC. Use the power of the NAC to get their parents, hey, I want to level up, can we set up a bank account? I want to level up, I want to save for this goal. Can I actually do more chores at home? And we've been seeing some interesting results with that. So this is some of our inspiration in terms of the methods that we use. BJ Fogg, I'm sure you've heard of him a lot these days. He started the field called persuasive technology, which is how do you design technology to change behavior. And it looks at motivation and ability and what are the frameworks you can use to understand the problem such that behavior results are triggered. The second inspiration of our methods is Steve Blank. He wrote the 4 Steps to Epiphany on the customer development method. Basically looking back at exactly what the customers want, and I'll show you how that has influenced our design. This is the curriculum that we worked with our curriculum providers with and a lot of savings researchers in a very actionable way, because we don't teach kids what the vocabulary is or what's the definition of inflation or saving. But what we do is to make it actionable. If I have $1, what are the 5 things I can do with my money, and why should I do them? And you can see that around the PlayMoolah, the PlayMoolah pillar is anchored on the center of who you are, what your dreams are, and what do I need to do to achieve that. So this is our prototyping process where we get kids heavily involved. We almost get kids to design the game with us. We first start out with a problem. And it could be as small as, let's design a 10-minute engagement loop. It could be as big as, how do we teach kids about investment? And from there, we then set objectives, whether it's time-based, whether it's literacy, or whether it's action and behavior. And these are very, very specific narrow funnels. What we then do is work with designers and curriculum providers to then come together and work on a few features that we want to prototype. And the most of the process goes into paper prototyping, even before we develop. So drawing things out, putting it out on paper, getting kids to actually click through to tell us what they think. And that process itself is an art that we are still trying to learn out more about. How do you get kids to actually tell you what they think? A lot of it is just looking at the emotions, looking at the player frustrations, and sometimes having a social play test together reveals a lot of results. Once we go to kids play testing and we have achieved the objective that we set, then we do technical prototypes. And one thing that I've learned all this time is there's actually a lot of, there's such a difference between the paper and the technical prototype as well. And that is where we test for interaction design. So this is this is how we know that a paper prototype works. And we have Phoebe, who's one of our great kids. And after playing some of the PlayMoolah games, she actually went home to recreate the entire paper prototype by herself at home. And she was bugging her mom to play it with her. So we realized that even in this process, she would be sending us ideas on how we could make it better. And this is how we try and make the game more engaging. So this is the road ahead for us. We are looking at stuff on the iPad as well. We have the current virtual world for kids ages 6 to 12. And we are also going up to the tweens and the teens to see how we can then partner with banks to take real data into the system and visualize and gamify that process. So that's all that I wanted to share. I want to open the floor to any questions. And if not, you can contact me at playmoolah.com.